Today's episode of NBA Now is sponsored by Mint Mobile. Plans starting as low as $15 a month. They are changing the game in cell phone wireless coverage. There's no reason not to make the switch since it runs on the largest 5G network. Head over to mintmobile.com/chatsports to get started today. We begin with Kevin Durant, and that's all the show's about, right? Of course, because things are not fun in Netland right now. Durant has met with Nets owner Joe Tsai and said, fire Sean Marks and head coach Steve Nash or else trade me. So we're kind of right back on that where we began all those weeks ago, months ago, times a flat circle here. Kevin Durant clearly is still unhappy about where things are at right now in Brooklyn, as the Nets, meanwhile, are backing Marks and Nash, at least they are publicly, and even some interesting conspiracy theories out there about the Nets being the ones to leak that request from Durant in order, A, to make Durant look worse, and B, to make it clear why, if and when they trade Durant, they got less back than what they should get for a top 10 of all time NBA player. A lot more on Durant coming, and we're going to keep you covered with everything going on around Kevin Durant, the number one story in the NBA, the superstars' trade requests and or organizational change demands. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe for more free coverage right here on YouTube on Kevin Durant. Here's what Charania said when he broke the news of the meeting and what went on. In a face-to-face meeting with Brooklyn Nets owner over the weekend, All-NBA star Kevin Durant reiterated his trade request and informed Joe Tsai that he needs to choose between Durant or the pairing of general manager Steve Marks and head coach Sean Marks and head coach Steve Nash. Sources with direct knowledge of the meeting tell The Athletic. Durant stated he does not have faith in the team's direction. Now we'll get to the tweet from the Brooklyn Nets owner here as well, plus some more from Shams. It's all very interesting in terms of the timing here. Here's what the Brooklyn Nets owner, Joe Tsai, said. Our front office and coaching staff have my support. We will make decisions in the best interest of the Brooklyn Nets. That's a public vote of confidence and not the one that comes before you fire the head coach in the middle of the season from ownership. Here's what else Shams has had to say. The Nets have direct knowledge of the reasons behind Durant's request, sources said, and understand that the 12-time All-Star will continue to be resolute in his stance. Durant is believed to want a change of scenery heading into his 16th season, because that is what a trade request is, after all. So will the Nets actually trade Kevin Durant? Type in Y for yes, they will, N for no, they will not. This is going to be the pinned comments on today's video. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, perfect timing actually. Take advantage of it. Head down there, type in your Ys or your Ns. It's a weird situation for Brooklyn. They think they've improved the team, and honestly, I think they have in the offseason. I like the pickups of T.J. Warren, Royce O'Neal. Trading away a first was a little bit interesting. This team, as constructed with Durant, Kyrie Irving, and I guess Ben Simmons as well, is one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. They have enough talent, especially with Durant and Irving if he plays, to be a premier contender. But this has been the worst effort to create a super team in the NBA since the last time the Brooklyn Nets tried to create a super team in the NBA. Nothing has gone the correct way for Brooklyn. Everything's gone the wrong direction. Disaster, especially if they end up having to trade Durant and or Irving, is the only way to make this work. They had built a very good young core, and they got Durant, they get Irving, they get James Harden. It's been a disaster. Some of the recent issues Brooklyn's gone through. You fire your head coach, who I like a lot, in Kenny Atkinson, to bring in Steve Nash, who now apparently your franchise star doesn't want. You pick DeAndre Jordan over Jared Allen because that's what Durant and Irving wanted. You trade for James Harden, then you have to trade him away again because Harden, I think, was pissy about Kyrie Irving, who is, he's Kyrie Irving in the end. Ben Simmons is still missing in action. At some level, at least for me, the Durant trade request is... Do you know the meme of the guy in the hot dog suit going, we're all trying to find out whose fault this is? It's kind of Durant's fault. The Durant has helped build this team, and now he's upset with the way things have gone. as he once again chooses to take the hardest road. So coming up next, some Kevin Durant trade destinations, some new odds, and an apparent top 3 in terms of the contenders from that standpoint. But first, let's tell you more about today's presenting sponsor, Mint Mobile. They offer unlimited talk and text and high-speed data that runs on the largest 5G network. Their plans start at just $15 a month. You will not find a better cell phone plan than the ones over at Mint Mobile. And yes, you can keep your current cell phone and your number. It's an easy switch to make. That's why I made it. Runs on the largest 5G network. $15 a month is where the plans start. And they have their eSIM cards. Super easy to make the switch for spending all day in a store and, having to waste your entire day. It's very easy. You should make the switch just like I did. mintmobile.com/chatsports. That link's in the comment section and in the description of today's show. Let's look now at where things sit. The Kevin Durant trade odds from OddsShark in the event he gets dealt. The Boston Celtics are minus 175. They are the betting favorite, with the Jaylen Brown trade package apparently being viable for Boston and for Brooklyn. The Suns at 350, which I think is way too high. The DeAndre Ayton trade kind of ruined that, despite, Kevin Durant wanted to go to Phoenix because that's the best roster in the NBA. Golden State plus 400. I don't think this was going to be a good destination for Durant. I think the Warriors and Durant have run their course in the end. The Raptors are a very real team to keep an eye out for. The Trailblazers in there at plus 900, by the way. The Grizzlies plus 1,200. Clippers, Knicks, Hawks, Lakers, all long shots. 3 other notes I'll make. The Heat are not on here, which I find interesting to not include the Miami Heat since Durant wants to be there. The Thunder and Bulls are both plus 2,200. The Thunder being on there is hilarious, but they have a great package to offer because they have all the draft picks, as that's how the Thunder tend to run their business. So make your predictions for me. Where will Kevin Durant play this year? Is it Brooklyn? Is it Boston? Is it nowhere? Does he sit out at least part of the season? Let me know in the comments section where you think Durant plays this year. Now let's look at some of the Celtics' interest, right? We know they've made offers for Durant. The Celtics' offer was Kevin Durant for Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and a first-round pick, or at least allegedly was the offer. The Nets had countered with Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, multiple first-rounders, and a potential rotation player as well. Money balancing, of course, being done for any trade we discuss because that's how it ends up working. There is some hesitancy to trade away Jaylen Brown. I understand that. But I also adopt this mindset if I'm Boston. If you get Kevin Durant and Jason Tatum, even if you move Marcus Smart too, still got Malcolm Brogdon, you still got Derek White, F them picks, you're the betting favorite in the East and probably the entire NBA. And if you win a title, it's worth it because that's how things work in the NBA. It's all about the rings. If you don't have the rings, it doesn't really matter all that much in the end. So I love Jaylen Brown. Great young player, talented young player. It's also Kevin Durant. If I could get Durant and move on from Jaylen Brown with 4 years left on Durant's deal, knowing that, there was a chance he goes Durant again, demands a trade, I think it's worth it. But we're a show for the people. So would you trade Jaylen Brown to get KD? Type in D for deal or ND for no deal. Let's move to the Raptors. Some trade ideas we've discussed here previously on NBA Now. Shout out my guy Chase Sr. Raptors get Durant. Nets get OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Precious Achiuwa, Thaddeus Young, and 2 first-round picks. The Raptors, if they wanted to, can make the best offer of all NBA teams. They could move OG, Scotty Barnes, who you may not want to move, more on him in a second, and also Pascal Siakam. And maybe the Nets work out a different deal with the Raptors. I don't know if Brooklyn wants to move Barnes. Siakam would be a premier piece to give up, though. 22.8 points per game, almost 35% from deep, 8.5 rebounds, 5.3 assists. He's been the best player on that Raptors team for, I guess since Kawhi left is the best way to approach it from that standpoint for Toronto. Apologies to prime Kyle Lowry, of course, and that ridiculous butt he has. But Siakam is a talented player. And I wonder almost the Raptors would rather keep Barnes over Siakam. For a first-year player, for a rookie, Barnes was a baller last year. 15.3 points per game, 7.5 boards, 3.5 assists. The Raptors have assets. Durant, much like the Kawhi trade, would make them one of the, if not the, betting favorite in the East. I would not sleep on Toronto in the event Durant actually does get traded. The Miami Heat have been linked as the number 3 team per the Athletic. They were not on the betting list, which I find so curious and interesting. The trade package. Nets get Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, 3 first-round picks. There has been some buzz that the Nets don't love a Tyler Hero-led package. I understand. I don't know what else the Heat would be willing to move, especially because you want to keep Bam Adebayo, probably over Tyler Hero, because adding Durant alone, even with Jimmy Butler as dynamic as that wing forward option are, man, that's just an elite length and talent duo. You want Bam at center, right? I mean, you don't find 1910, almost 2010 guys in terms of what Bam brings. So I think Miami, it's a reason why they weren't on that odds list. The package they can put together is pretty tough to work out. Now, if you made it to the end of today's video, I want to thank you. You watched the entire show, and we appreciate that. It makes you a real one. So if you made it to the end, we'll show you some love if you type real one in the comment section.